So 250 years ago, right now, the revolution was well underway. The American Revolution had been started. The Continental Congress was meeting in this building, Independence Hall. And one thing I've been doing every day is just checking letters that the Founding Fathers wrote back and forth to each other. So I figured I'd check today and see if I find anything interesting and share it with you. I've got my laptop right here. So I'm gonna be looking down and checking for letters. Okay, so today is June 26th, and it looks like we have quite a few here. Let's see. Jefferson's Composition Draft 1, Jefferson's Fair Copy to the Committee, Declaration of the Representatives. 3, John Dickinson's Composition Draft. Interesting. Okay, so and then we have to John Adams from William Tudor, address from the New York Provincial Congress, address to the New York Provincial Congress, and then from Thomas Jefferson to Francis Epps. Okay, so it looks like we have several official documents and only 2 actual letters. I'm going to click into them and we'll check them out real quick. And then we'll decide what to actually read. So first, let's check out Jefferson's Composition Draft. Oh yeah, this is very long. So we're not going to be reading this. It's not really a letter. Let's read what it is. This 4-page manuscript in Thomas Jefferson's hand lacks a title, date, and endorsement, a good example tending to prove the present document an original composition, as opposed to the kind of rough draft of a revision produced by Dickinson, is to be found in the last 10 lines of the first page of the manuscript. So, okay. But what is this? What is it, though? Is it a draft of the Declaration of Independence? No, come on. Let's read the first little bit so we can see what it is. In the large strides, advances of late, taken by the legislature of Great Britain towards establishing in over the colonies their absolute rule, and the hardiness of their present attempt to effect by force of arms what by law or right they could never effect, renders it necessary for us to also to change the ground of opposition and to close with their last appeal from reason to arms. And as it behooves those who are called to this great decision to be assured that their cause is approved before the supreme reason, so is it of great avail that its justice be made known to the world, whose prayers cannot be wanting intercessions, affections will ever be favorable to a people, take part with those encountering oppression. Our forefathers, inhabitants of the island of Great Britain, harassed, having vainly there long endeavored to bear up against the evils of misrule, left their native land to seek on those shores a residence for civil and religious freedom at the expense of their blood. Okay, so what is this? This looks like a sort of a draft that maybe became the Declaration of Independence. It's very long. Okay. Let's back out and let's look at. So this is a fair copy, maybe of the same. Let's see. There's the word declaration. We, a declaration of the representatives of the United Colonies of America, now sitting in General Congress, setting forth the causes of necessity of their taking up arms. The large strides of late taken by the legislature. Okay, so this is a declaration of like why they are fighting the revolution, why they're taking up arms against Great Britain. So it's not quite the Declaration of Independence. But it is a declaration of some sort. Okay, let's check out John Dickinson's composition. A declaration by the representatives of the United Colonies of North America, now sitting, met in General Congress at Philadelphia, setting forth the causes and necessity of their taking up arms. Yeah. So it's a declaration of the causes and necessities of taking up arms against Great Britain. Well, we certainly don't have time to read it today. These are quite long, but they're available if you would like to read it. This one is 8 pages long, entirely in Dickinson's handwriting. Interesting. Okay, interesting. We will back out and let's begin looking at the other letters. First, let's start with to John Adams from William Tudor. Dear Sir, this is 26th of June, 1775. Dear Sir, you will doubtless before the receipt of this have heard of the bloody engagement at Charlestown. It starts out as in the same way as the letter from last week, so hopefully it's not a complete recapitulation. Okay, for a particular account of it, I must refer you to a letter I last week wrote our friend Collins. The ministerial troops gained the hill, but we were victorious losers. A few more such victories, and they are undone. I cannot think our retreat an unfortunate one. Such is the situation of that hill that we could not have kept it, exposed to the mighty fire which our men must have received from the ships and batteries that command the whole eminence. 800 provincials bore the assault of 2,000 regulars and twice repulsed them, but the heroes were not supported and could only retire. Our men were not used to cannon balls, and they came so thick from the ships, floating batteries, etc., that they were discouraged advancing. They have since been more used to them and dare encounter them. The American army are in great spirits and eager to recover their late defeat. I wish we had more discipline, but General Washington we hear is coming, and we expect much from his conduct and experience. The colony forces have thrown up very extensive lines to secure Cambridge, and there are 4 different entrenchments in Roxbury. The regular troops cannot again fight under the like advantages they did at Charlestown. They have dearly paid for 1 mile's advancement, and before they get another, I much doubt if they will have soldiers enough left to maintain it. The lower part of the province has been in much confusion and distress. It is supposed 20,000 people from Boston and its environs have deserted their habitations. Yet I fear of nobody that thinks of anything less than submission. Yet I hear of nobody that thinks anything less than submission. The universal voice is, if the continent approve, and assist, we will die or be free. The sword is drawn and the scabbard thrown away, till it can be sheathed with security and honor. I wish I could be near enough to my worthy colonel to congratulate him on his late proscription. If anything had been wanting to secure to him and Mr. Adams the hearts of their countrymen, General Gage's proclamation would have amply effected it. The man must surely have felt ridiculous to order martial law to take place through a province, one town alone of which he had any command in. The loss of Dr. Warren is irreparable. His death is generally and greatly lamented. But dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. This is the day of heroes. The fall of one will inspire the surviving glorious band to emulate his virtues and revenge his death on the foes of liberty and our country. Yours, with great affection and respect, William Tudor. What a great letter. Okay, let's read some footnotes. On 12th of June, General Gage issued a proclamation declaring martial law and offering a pardon to anyone who would lay down his arms except for Samuel Adams and John Hancock, whose offenses are of too flagitious a nature to admit any other consideration than that of condign punishment. Gage probably held little hope for success, for in a letter to Lord Dartmouth on 12th of June, he mentioned only the declaration of martial law, not the offer of pardons. Okay. Okay, let's read the next letter that's actually a letter from Thomas Jefferson to Francis Epps. Let's see. Okay, this isn't too long. Philadelphia, June 26, 1775. Dear Sir, you will before this have heard that the war is now heartily entered into, without a prospect of accommodation, but through the effectual interposition of arms. General Gage has received considerable reinforcements, though not to the whole amount of what was expected. There has lately been an action at the outlet of the town of Boston. The particulars we have not yet been able to get with certainty. The event, however, was considerably in our favor as to the numbers killed. Our account says we had between 40 and 70 killed and 140 wounded. The enemy had certainly 500 wounded, and the same account supposes that number killed. But judging from the proportion of wounded and slain on our part, they should not have perhaps above 200 killed. This happened on Saturday, and on Monday, when the express came away, the Provincials had again to make another attack. Washington set out from here on Friday last as Generalissimo of all the provincial troops in North America. Ward and Lee are appointed major generals, and Gates adjutant. We are exceedingly anxious till we hear of their arrival at Boston, as it is evident to everyone that the provincial encampment is the most injudicious that can possibly be conceived. For the sole purpose of covering two small towns near Boston, they have encamped so near the line of ministerial army that the sentries may converse. Gage, too, being well fortified, is in little danger of an attack from them, while their situation is such that he may attack them when he pleases. And if he is unsuccessful, they cannot pursue him afoot scarcely, on account of the ships and floating batteries bearing on the neck of Boston. If no evil arises from this till General Washington arrives, we may expect to hear of his withdrawing the provincial troops to a greater distance. The Congress have directed 20,000 men to be raised, and hope by a vigorous campaign to dispose our enemies to treaty. Governor Carleton has been spiriting up the Canadian Indians to fall on our back settlements but this we hope will be prevented. Governor Skeen, appointed to take charge of the fortresses on the lakes, was intercepted here, and as we had already taken possession of those fortifications and provided a governor, there was no occasion for him to proceed. He is now, therefore, our prisoner. My best affections attend Mr. Epps and family, and am, Dr. Sir, your friend and servant, Thomas Jefferson. Okay, finally, let's read these two addresses. Let's read from the New York Provincial Congress. And I believe this is an address probably to Washington as he passed through New York. Okay, may it please your excellency, New York, June 26, 1775. At a time when the most loyal of his majesty's subjects, from a regard to the laws and constitution by which he sits on the throne, feel themselves reduced to the unhappy necessity of taking up arms to defend their dearest rights and privileges. While we deplore the calamities of this divided empire, we rejoice in the appointment of a gentleman from whose abilities and virtue we are taught to expect both security and peace. Confiding in you, sir, and in the worthy generals immediately under your command, we have the most flattering hopes of success in the glorious struggle for American liberty, and the fullest assurances that whenever this important contest shall be decided, by that fondest wish of each American soul and an accommodation with our mother country, you will cheerfully resign the important deposit committed into your hands and resume the character of our worthiest citizen. By order, PVB, Livingston, President. Okay, let's read this explanation. On the morning of 26th of June, 1775, the New York Provincial Congress approved this address and appointed Governor Morris and Isaac Low to inquire of George Washington when the members should wait on him with it. Morris and Low promptly brought word that George Washington would receive them at 2:30 p.m. A copy of the address was then ordered to be engrossed. After transacting some other business, the Provincial Congress recessed until 5 p.m. and went to meet George Washington. Upon reconvening, it ordered the address and George Washington's reply to be published. Both documents appear in the New York Journal or general blah, blah, blah. Okay, so far, so on and so forth. Peter Van Brugh Livingston, a wealthy New Yorker who had profited greatly from military contracts during the colonial wars, was elected president of the New York Provincial Congress on its opening day on the 23rd of May, 1775, and on 8th of July, he became its treasurer. He held both positions until 28th of August, 1775, when he withdrew from all public affairs because of poor health. Next, let's read the address to the New York Provincial Congress, which I'm guessing, I believe, yeah, it's George Washington's reply. Okay, this is George Washington's reply. Gentlemen, at the same time that with you I deplore the unhappy necessity of such an appointment as that with which I am now honored, I cannot but feel sentiments of the highest gratitude for this affecting insistence of distinction and regard. May your warmest wish be realized in the success of America at this important and interesting period, and be assured that every exertion of my worthy colleagues and myself will be equally extended to the re-establishment of peace and harmony between the mother country and the colonies. As to the fatal but necessary operations of war, when we assumed the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen. We shall most sincerely rejoice with you in that happy hour when the establishment of American liberty on the most firm and solid foundations shall enable us to return to our private stations in the bosom of a free, peaceful, and happy country. George Washington. The LS was badly damaged. What is LS? The LS was badly damaged in the New York State Library fire of 1911. Missing portions of the text are supplied within angle brackets from the Varick transcript. President Peter von Bruges Livingston informed the New York Provincial Congress when it reconvened at 5 p.m. today that to prevent mistakes, he had obtained to a copy of the answer of General Washington to the address of this Congress. It was read, filed, and ordered to be published with the Provincial Congress's address. For the appearance of both documents in the New York papers, see address from the New York Provincial Congress, this date, source note. Soon after replying to the Provincial Congress, George Washington left New York City, attended by the several New York military companies and likewise by a troop of gentlemen of the Philadelphia Light Horse, commanded by Captain Marceau, and a number of the inhabitants of this city. George Washington lodged this night at King's Bridge at the northern end of Manhattan Island. Philip Schuyler remained with him until 10 o'clock the next morning, when the two men parted company at New Rochelle, Schuyler returning to New York City to begin his new duties there. The Philadelphia Light Horse also returned to New York City that day and left for Philadelphia on 29th of June. Charles Lee, Thomas Mifflin, and Joseph Reed continued with George Washington to Cambridge. Okay, so the rest of the footnotes are sort of debating certain usages of words and phrases. Yeah, we'll skip that. Okay, so those are the letters for June 26, 1775. If you enjoyed them, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.